Is D live? Live. Is the mic even in my monitor? I don't think so. It's been a while since I've had to change that. Check. There we go. Alright. D live. Are you live? Are you live, D live? Check. There we go. D live is live. Is Twitch twitching? D live is live. Is Twitch twitching? Twitch is twitching. Is YouTubing? Is D live? Is Facebooking? How's the mic even in my monitor? Oh, Fox is holding. At least we know that. Is Facebooking? It appears to be. At least we know that. All right. How much time is left? Ask him how much of your mind is left. Right? You know that trick, right? Oh, we got the Battle of the Nine Kings tonight, boys and ladies and girls and gentlemen. The Battle of the Nine Kings. It's the wrong music for that. I need war music. Gotta talk to the producers. My bad. Just thought of that. Oh well. Dun, 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 dun. Some Holst of the planets. We must wait one more minute before the intro. Just cuz. Seems like... there we go. One live viewer in the house. I think it's me. Let me put some Gojira. Oh yeah, Gojira in the house. I've probably completely... Oh, we got 17 seconds left. And here we go.
Welcome to the 9dNation.
בראשית ברא אלוהים את השמיים ואת הארץ.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Thousands of years later, it was Wednesday at 11 p.m. Central. Get your passport ready and be prepared to declare to the customs agents any edible plants or miscellaneous worldviews. You're now crossing into the nation with no denomination.
Okay. Welcome to the 9dNation. I see Pythagi has come in with a very good counter sticker. Well played. Well played. That was a pretty good movie. Is that from... How is King Kong even close? I think even in the movie, wasn't he like 2/3 as tall? I guess Gojira is kind of stooping down, leaning forward. Is that the one from a few years ago? Anyway. We got the Battle of the Nine Kings tonight. And I'm torn because I think we literally have maybe up to one non-panelist. I'm assuming Thaggy wants to join the panel as usual. Classical Chick, hey! Tomorrow, opening night of Frankenstein. Notice, the actual underscore is in the house. My name is Frankenstein. Steen, Frankenstein. Classical Chick, I don't know how I stay up. Let's play a cookie animation, though. Let's get that underway here.
Looky, looky, here comes Cookie, walking down the street. Looky, looky, I call him Cookie, 'cause he's sweet.
All right. Hey, Rev is in the house over there on Twitch. Good to see you, Rev. All right. I think we got enough to get this row on the show. I have to get up earlier than usual tomorrow because the evil slave drivers are forcing us to go into some building that they don't even need. They need loosh. Money ain't good enough. You know, work product isn't enough for them. They need to collect loosh. Y'all know how it is. I can't wait for the New World Order. Not the Bush one, but like the one that'll... The iron rod of 1,000 years, you know? The one that's really gonna happen. Can't wait. Typical. Yeah, exactly, Rev. All right, well, we're 3 minutes after the half, so I think we can get started. I'm going to crank through the text of the Battle of the Nine Kings, and then we can do commentary. I mean, I'll do some commentary myself, right? We're going to read... so this is episode 39, I should say that. Let me tell you our story so far. If you've been with us for these prior 39 weeks, or 38 weeks, Genesis 1:1 through Genesis 13:18, we have gotten to this. No human angel half-breeds. Oh, they still exist, but they're not allowed. No murder. That still happens, but it's not allowed. No blood drinking. 3 bloodlines. Japheth, Greek. Hamites, Philistines, Canaanites, Assyrians. Shemites, Abram, Lot, out of Israel, made bank in Egypt with a Turkish army. Certainly close to an army. You'll see this week and next week, you'll see that these guys are quite capable. Lot took Sodom in the east. Abram got Israel from Ahiah for his future massive nation children. He placed an altar in Oakland. I'm calling it Oakland because it was the land of the oaks. In Mamre, Hebron, Israel. Now, you've been waiting for minutes, hours, days, weeks for the Battle of the Nine Kings. Genesis 14, 1 through 11. Let me get it up on screen. Genesis 14, 1 through 11. The reason I'm stopping at 11, it was so hard to figure out where to stop. Because it was either stop at 11 or stop at 16. And I decided to cut it into 2 pieces. Or maybe even a little later than 16. The point being, we're going to do 1 through 11 tonight. I think it'll be a good idea. Anyway. Let me zoom in a bit. Get that text nice and big. Okay. And it came about in the days of Amraphel. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, Black Yoda's in the house. You know, I got to throw the flag because, well, there's been a conference, you know, 30-second conference on the side, and the head referee is totally agreeing that, yeah, let's go to Rumble, and let's get the flag thrown. Can't believe Yeah, that's on me. We got to keep it clean. If anybody's wondering, I pointed, and there was a late in the play, but, well, it probably, who knows when it came out, but I didn't see the yellow flag but I've got to play it.
Come on now. What's this?
Can you?
That's a man, you know.
This is really horrible.
I know, I understand, but leave it to God.
No, he should be burned in fire. That's what should happen. Should be burned in fire for that disgustingness.
But that's
You're
nasty.
nasty.
Why
You're
are
nasty.
You're
Look
nasty.
at you.
What,
Look at
pointing
you.
at
You see
me.
people
Help
like
me.
you, yeah?
Help me,
You see people
someone.
like you,
Call the
yeah?
police.
You should
Listen
get-
here, son. You fucking pointing me again. You cunt. I'll drop you, all right? Fucking jog on. And you prick.
All right, flag thrown. My bad. It is so hard not to point. And I don't know if it's just that I used to point and didn't notice. I think it's hard once you know the wisdom of not pointing. It's real hard not to point. All right. I'm kind of stalling, aren't I? No, let's get into this. Just 11 verses. It came about in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elisar, Shadorlamar, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, that they made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Birsha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All these kings came as allies to the valley of Siddim, that is, the Salt Sea. For 12 years they had served Shadorlamer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year, Shadorlamer and the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephaim. Ooh, the Rephaim. Oh, we'll dig into that. Defeated the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shaveh Kiriathaim, and the Horites on the Mount Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and conquered all the territory of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, who lived in Hazazon Tamar. And the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, came out. And they lined up for battle against them in the valley of Siddim, against Shadorlamar, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elisar. 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and they fell into them. But those who survived fled to the hill country. Then they took all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food supply and departed. Don't look at the next verse. Just don't look. Just don't look. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. That's for next week. Oh, this is a 2-parter. This is so hard to stop here, but we're going to stop. Now, please permit me to attempt to read this in Hebrew. I have a handy little link where we can get a little copy. So we're going to do 14. Chapter, what? Yeah. 14. 1 through 11. All right, I'm going to see what I can do. I barely know what I'm doing. Vayi bimei Amraphel, Melech Shinar, Arioch Melech, Elisair, Kadereleomar, Melech Elam Vetidal, Melech Goyim, Eshu Milcheme, et Bara Melech Sedom Vuet Birsha, Melech Amorah, Shinav Melech Adme, Veshemever, Melech Shevoyim, umelech belahi tzor. Kol ele shiveru el imek hasidim hu yem mamela. Shetem esre shana vedu ed kadereleyomer kadereleyomer ushelosh esre shene meredu. Uve arba eshe shene be kadereleyomer. I gotta check that pronunciation. Vehamalakim asher ito vayaku et Raphaim beashterot karnaim ve'et hazuzim behem ve'et haimim besheve kiryatayim. All right, let me scroll down. Va'et hachauri baharim ser ad el perein asher el hamidber vayeshuvu vayavawu el en mishpet hi kadesh vayaku et kol shede hameliki vagem et haimori haoshev bakashon tamer. Vayase melech Sedom umelech Amore umelech Adme umelech Sevoyim umelech Bela Hitzor Vayarchu item milcheme beemek Hasidim et Kederaleomer melech Elam Vedtidal melech Goyim Ve'amrefel melech Shinar Variok melech Eleser Arbaye melechim et Hakamaishe. Vimek Hasidim birot Hamare Veye Nusu melech Shedom Vea More Vea Pelu Sheme Vahanesharim Here Nesu. Such a Texas accent I'm given to this Hebrew. One more verse. Vayachu et kol rechush Sidom vamore vuet kol achelaim vayelechu. All right, so let's spend about 15 minutes cracking through these 11 verses, and then we'll get our commentary rolling with Black Yoda, Pythagoras, I'm presuming, and whoever shows up. All right, first, verse 14. I feel like I did a crappy job reading tonight. I'm so tired. No excuse. I'm quite the excuse maker these days, aren't I? Straighten up. Quit your loafing. All right. So this first verse. If I can but find my notes. All right, this first verse, it has one new word that we've not seen in the first 38 weeks, melech. You might wonder why I just read melech a million times. Because it's in there a million times. King. There are 2,523 usages in the Old Testament, or what you might call the Law and Prophets. It is such a straightforwardly translated word that I thought it might be worth looking at the English definition. I think I went to dictionary.com. Person holding authority over a country and people. For life, usually. Inherited, usually. So let's put this verse together. We read it in English. We read it in Hebrew. Well, butchered the pronunciation in Hebrew. Looking at all the word tokens, given everything we've learned in the last 38 weeks, I argue that it says, basically, it ended up in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Shadorlamer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations. And by the way, when he says king of nations, does that mean a bunch of Japhethites? Because it says like the Goyim. So I kind of wonder. Let's look at that verse. See how it says Goyim? Anyway, I want to pronounce Shador Lamar. So it says it's Kadarelaomer. So it's K Dar Elaomer. Kedar Elaomer. Let's go get a good pronunciation of this, shall we? Let's do it. Let's like really do it. Translate. So let's do Kedar Elaomer. Will it do it? Come on. Come on. All right, whatever. Kedarelaomer. All right. We're going to be saying his name a few times, so Kedarelaomer. That's what I'm going to go with. If anybody knows better, let me know. Kedarelaomer. Sounds like a Klingon name, kind of. All right, so here it says nations is goyim, but in this context, it really means nations, because that's what the word comes from. So let's see. I have this. Why do I have this? I have this link. Oh, yeah, just to show you. Here's like where Shinar. Let me zoom in a little bit. Just to give you a little picture. If any of the experts in the chat, when we get our panel going, or you can just pop the news in the chat, if any of these you think need to be tweaked, this was just, I looked around, and this was the one I kind of settled on. I spent about 10 minutes on it. So I'm going to go with that as kind of our map. So our story so far. No human angel half-breeds, no murder, no blood drinking, 3 bloodlines, Japheth, Greek, Hamites, Philistines, Canaanites, Assyrians, Shemites, Abram, Lot out of Israel, made bank in Egypt with a Turkish army. Lot took Sodom in the east, Abram got Israel from Ahiah, and moved to Oakland in Mamre, Hebron, Israel. They had 4 nearby kingdoms to the north and east, Shinar, Elsar, Elam, and modern-day Turkey. Turkey was to the north, I guess. Verse number 2. I know that took a while. I think I should be able to get through the other verses a little quicker. I have to. One new word, milchama. That's a battle or a war. There's 319 usages in the Law and Prophets. It reminds me of the word for King Melech. You know, King Melech, milchama. So just I get the feeling that like the word for king and the word for battle are kind of similar, like Melech, milchama. So this verse says they fought Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Zoar. So our story so far, Abram moved to Oakland in Mamre, Hebron, Israel. There was a ton of war to the north and east. Let's look at verse 3. Chabar. That's one of the... There's 3 new words. Chabar. That's to unite or be joined together. It's like tying a magic knot or a spell or a charm. It's a pretty interesting word. There's 28 usages in the Law and Prophets, and I want to show you. Let's see, what do we want to look at here? It's like a treaty or coalition is kind of what I'm thinking, because it's like bound together. Coupled. See it right there? It's a clamp or a companion. Another new word in this verse, emek. It's a vale or valley, V-A-L-E, like a valley. 69 usages in the Old Testament. And melach, salt. 28 usages in the Law and Prophets. So if we put this verse all together, let's go back to that. They got together in alliance in the Siddim Valley otherwise known as the Salt Sea. Let's look at this link, the Valley of Siddim. I'm going to leave you with this because it's just a nice little study guide. I'm not saying it's authoritative. Whiskey Blue in the house. Thank you, Commander Sloan, for encouraging the smashing of the red pill. Some sort of a bot is saying stuff. Good for you, bot. That's over in Twitch. Let me put this in the chat here. I think this was just a handy link. I'll read one section of it. The exact location of the Valley of Siddim is unknown. Historically, some have believed the location is submerged in the southern part of the Dead Sea. New evidence has made this view unlikely. A few people argue that it is to the north of the Dead Sea, but this seems improbable as well. Most scholars believe that the Valley of Siddim was an area somewhere to the south of the Dead Sea, based on the tar pits mentioned in the text and the movement of the Eastern Kings. So I went with that, but we can debate or converse about that. I'm not so sure it was north and east, as the final battle seems to be the south. At least I said that at one time in my notes. Then I said, oh, maybe it's about trade routes. So it's a battle around the eastern side of where Israel is today, and it fans out east and north if you zoom out enough. I don't know. That was just some note I said. I don't even remember what I'm talking about. So our story so far. War in the area came to a head with 9 kings just south of the Dead Sea. I think that's where it kind of came to a head. Maybe some armies chasing others. I think even the possibility of Abraham plays into it. You'll see next week. Did they mean to kidnap Lot? Did someone get this brave idea? Like, he's worthy. Anyway, that's for next week. All right, verse 4. Rev says, hit the red pill. I have to agree. It's required of me by law. Verse 4. So, yeah, they're saying the Valley of Siddim is down here. I think the Dead Sea is right there, if I have that right. I don't know. We'll see. Verse 4. One new word. Marad. Let's get the verse. Let's see what is my deal? Verse 4. Very end of the verse, we've got one new word, marad. It's to rebel. 25 usages in the Old Testament. It's a straightforward translation. So in English, what does rebel mean? Refuse alliance or resist government. But we're now talking about what looks to me like empire. Kedorlaomer or Shedorlaomer, or whatever his name is. It's not just a local king. He's like kind of banding together and becoming top king of kings, right? So I kind of think there's some empire going on. Is empire good? I feel like empire is automatically known to be bad, right? Like we all just get that. But that could be indoctrination. I'm not sure. So after 12 years, the locals had enough of Kedorlaomer's empire. Kedorlaomer, is that what I said? All right, so our story so far. Lot took Sodom in the east. Abram got Israel from Ahiah and moved to Oakland in Mamre, Hebron, Israel. A 12-year pseudo-empire split up with a big battle just south of the Dead Sea. So they paid tribute for 12 years. But then they said, nah. That's why I'm saying it that way. Verse 5. Got 5 minutes to get through 6 more verses. I might be running a tiny bit late, but just got so into this. All right. No new words. Rephaim is a proper name, so I'm not considering it a new word because I skip proper names, but uh-oh. Dang. I just pointed. All right, let me throw the flag.
What's this?
Can you?
That's a man, you know.
This is really horrible.
I know, I understand, but leave it to God.
No, he should be burning fire. That's what should happen. Should be burnt in fire for that disgustingness.
But that's
You're
nasty.
nasty.
Why
You're
you think-
nasty.
You're
Look at
nasty.
you.
What,
Look at
pointing
you.
at
You see
me.
people
Help
like
me.
you, yeah?
Help me,
You see people
someone.
like you,
Go look
yeah?
at.
You should
Listen
get-
here, son. You fucking pointing at me again. You cunt. I'll drop you. All right. Fucking jog on. And you prick.
I really have to stop pointing. It slows the game down, you know? Anyway. So, Rephaim. That's a old race of giants. So, Cheda is making war with giants. How dare you say that? It's already been openly discussed in the text that before the flood and after the flood were the great men of renown. And I think, in our walk through that, we said they were huge. So it's probably that they're huge. By the way, every time we say Kedorlaomer, how close is this? Is a stretch, but was Charlemagne named after this concept? Totally just a random stretch. So in the 14th year, Team Cheda, Team Kedorlaomer, hit Team Rephaim, Zuz, and Imi. No real change to our story so far. One more. Let's go to verse 6. Verse 6. Midbar is a new word. Desert. 271 usage. It means mouth or wilderness. So it's a place where all the resources get, consumed, maybe? Or it's uncultivatable. I'm not sure. It can mean that a flock is grazable there, though. So it's like a place Bedouins would like, I would think. So it's able to mean desert or wilderness or a place of order. So if you're a Fremen in Dune, you might like it. It would seem like, I can get along there. So they go out in the uninhabitable desert to make life hard for the Empire, maybe. I don't know. I was just trying to think how that word could be. So putting this verse together, and the Horite, way out by the desert. Next verse. Almost done. No new words here. Essentially, they rolled over the Amalekites, the Amorites, got a little bit of land to the middle waste of the Dead Sea, like a foot in the door, right? A foot in the door. You're now just a little bit west of the Dead Sea. You might catch the attention of, I don't know, Abraham. That's for next week. Just saying. Here, let's copy this link here. See, I forgot why I put this one here. Armstrong, uncovering the battle that changed the world. Long before Sparta's 300, there was Abraham's 318. Let's see, why did I bring this link? I don't know, but I might as well share it with you. I'll put this in the list. I got the flag, Sloan. I pointed. Yeah, it was... You might not have seen it, but... Yeah, these refs are tough. This is more for next week. 318 of Abraham's people turned the tide of the battle. They were getting routed, and it flips it around. Here's the regional powers. So just play around with that link. Enjoy it. There's the invasion. This is probably why I wanted it. See how it's like a kind of a traveling story of, all right, we're tired of you rebels. We're going to come in. We're rolling. We're just really pilfering. Let's keep going. We're going to keep going. And here's where the final battle takes place. I don't know if it's that far north, but it could be. Now you don't have to go around the long way back. You can just keep going. Next week, we'll talk about this battle at Dan. But anyway, just thought you might enjoy that link. Do I have any more notes about that link? No. So our story so far, 5 local city-state kings around Abram and Lot were starting to band together, but got rolled by Cheddar's operation, who even got a foot on the clear west edge of the Dead Sea. knocking on the door. Let's go to the next verse. Sorry, this is taking so long. There's one new word here, arak. That's an array. There's 76 usages in the Old Testament. It's like to line up in an orderly way. I think here it's for war. Like you could say a muster. You're mustering. So the verse here is basically saying the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Zeboim, Bela, or Zoar mustered for battle in the valley of Siddim. So here's a question. Did Abram know, back when he let Lot go east, that this was a tough territory? And maybe when Lot gets kidnapped next week, does he feel a little guilty, maybe? That's for next week. He jumps right in, though. We know that. Or at least it feels that way in the text. And I know the text plays fast and loose with time, but verse 9, no real big change, you know. It just kind of repeats the long list of who's fighting whom. Verse 10, 2 more verses to go. We're almost done for the... Oh, here's a video. Let me check, see if we want to play this. Let me take a peek and remind myself what it is. It's 4 minutes long.
Before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah by God, there was a war between 9 kings. In the Bible, in the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verses 1 through 16, the Bible tells us about a war between 5 southern kings from the Jordan River Plain and 4 northern kings from Mesopotamia. Hence the name, the War of the 9 Kings. The southern forces were made up by the cities of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela, while the northern forces were made up by the Mesopotamian kingdoms of Elam, Shinar, Elasar, and Gorim, with Elam being the leader of the northern forces. This war takes place during Abraham's time, but we will get to him later. On the 13th year of Chedorlaomer's rule, the king of Elam, over the 5 cities, things got violent. The 5 cities revolted against Chedorlaomer, and of course, he started the campaign to reclaim the cities. Along came his 3 allies, the 3 other kings from the north, and their armies. They would gather together and march through the king's highway to do battle with the cities. The southern forces would build up a defense in the Vale of Siddim, thinking that the natural slime pits, otherwise known as the tar pits, common to that area would help with the defense, but that didn't go as well as they hoped. As the northern forces would clash with the southern forces would be pushed into the tar pits, losing much of their forces. The ones who escaped went into the mountains, including the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah. With hardly any defenses left, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah would be plundered, and even some of the citizens were taken captives. Among these captives was Lot, the nephew of Abraham. The northern forces would continue south to establish control over the path leading to Elat, the Red Sea, and to El Paran. After that, the northern forces would march back home, but this time opposite of the way they came, west of the Dead Sea. A survivor would come to Abraham and told him what had happened. Abraham immediately called upon his 318 trained servants to fight for Lot. They followed the northern kings from...
All right, I'll stop there, and we'll go back to that next week, because that'll save us a couple minutes. We're going to cover all that next week, the rest of that. So let me just show you. I'm sitting there listening to all that, and I'm like, does it really make sense? If you look at modern roads and the trade routes that exist today, they're not much different. There's a place called Khalet El Nakhl. Let's see. Is it right here? Yeah, look. See? So that's pretty much, let's see. I think that's it. Yeah. Let's see. I had it. Put a pin on the map. Khalet El Nakhl is what I was looking for. Yeah, Dead Sea. Hit enter. Where was it? Was it down here? I did find something that convinced me this was on track. Oh, well, I won't waste your time. Anyway, you can play around with that. 2 more verses real quick. Or 1 more. Wait, that was 9. All right, so verse 10. Did I skip 9? No, yeah, okay. So verse 10, 2 new words here. Be'er, which is a well or a pit, usually means a well. There's 37 examples in the Old Testament. Nous, that's to flee or escape. That's a straightforward kind of runaway. There's 159 examples in the Old Testament. This tar word for the tar pits, by the way, we've already seen this word before. We saw it in the Babel Tower section for the asphalt that they used. So Siddim Valley had tar pits, and the Levant kings ran away, and it trapped some of them, and the rest fled to the mountains. So the local 5 blundered around in the Siddim and tar pits, and the survivors fled to the mountains. Or a pseudo-empire under Kedorlaomer came at 5 local city-state kings in the Levant, and they beclowned themselves, even falling into tar pits. 1 more verse, and then we're done with this part. 1 more verse. Where is it? Here we go. Part 2, panel. There's 1 new word here, okel, or food. There's 44 usages in the Old Testament. It comes from akal, which is to eat. We've seen that word before. So they plundered their goods and supplies in Sodom and Gomorrah and took off. So, our story so far. And then we'll wrap this up. No human angel half-breeds, no murder, no blood drinking. 3 bloodlines, Japheth, Greek, Hamites, Philistines, Canaanites, Assyrians, Shemites, Abram, Lot, out of Israel, made bank in Egypt with a Turkish army. Lot took Sodom in the east. Abram got Israel from Ahiah and moved to Oakland in Mamre, Hebron, Israel. A pseudo-empire under Kedorlaomer came at 5 local city-state kings in the Levant, who they beclowned themselves, even falling into tar pits, and Sodom and Gomorrah was plundered. All right. Part 2, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's kick into high gear with our panel. Let's get a Jitsi link going here. I'm going to use the same Jitsi link that we always do. Let me turn off my video capture device. Allow it here. Join the meeting. Put the link in chat. Bitumen. Yeah, I am not 100% sure, Duppy. And the thing used on the ark, the word really means a bribe. They paint the ark in bribery paint or ransom payment paint. Maybe it is bitumen, not saying it's not. But I think it was a different word than the one used in Babel. The mortar. The mortar was a little different. Anyway, that could be something we discuss. So as the panelists trickle in, Sloan says, honorable. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. We got to keep the game honest with the flags. All right. Hey, if nobody... Black Yoda, are you out there? You were in there a minute ago. I know I took 35 minutes to get going, but... Black Yoda. Black Yoda. The co-host, Black Yoda. Did I put the wrong link? No, I didn't. No, okay, well, let's look up bitumen. So, Tower of Babel. Let's go check out what they made it out of. Genesis 11. Let's go to New American Standard. Descendants of Shem. Da-da-da. And they used tar for mortar. Let's check out. Now, maybe there's other sources that tie these more together, but just based on what I had come up with. Asphalt. Concordance 2.5. Oh, you're in there? Am I just not? I'm just dumb. Let me see. What am I doing wrong? I don't understand how I'm messing this up. Where are you? Can you guys link where you're at? Maybe if I hit refresh. Join. Where are you guys? Let's see. Yeah, that's the only link I have in my cache. So strange. And then let's go to Noah's Ark, Genesis, enter the Ark. Let's see, corruption of mankind. Put the door in the Ark. Does it say here? Actually, cover it inside and out with pitch. So here he's using Bacofair. So kind of a different word. And Bacofair is a ransom payment. Ransom, see how it's ransom, bribe, ransom. So, Namster, it could be. Why is my... How is my... I have an idea. Let's create a new one. Jitsi. We're going to go to Civic Dancing's Leak Knot. Fair? That one's clearly busted. Let's try a whole new one. How about a nice game of chess? No, let's play global thermonuclear war. Yeah, Duppy. Yeah, it just says cover it with a bribery payment. It doesn't really say what to make it out of in that text, so it could easily be the same thing. Totally. All right, team. Hopefully you're all coming into this new place. Can you do it? Otherwise, we might try Zoom. We could always dig up Zoom. Civic Dancing's Leak Not. Hey, that one's working. Black Yoda, thanks for fixing that. Appreciate it.
So I don't know if the chat could hear me when me and Pete Aggie were talking.
No.
No.
I didn't have you guys.
All right. So what I had mentioned to him was I sent you a text earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
And it is talking about the Church of England doing some rat bastard shit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull that up and read that to the audience. I'm on my phone because Bernie's in there watching that TV. program. And if I hear that theme song one more time, I'm choking somebody.
Fair.
It's some treasure hunter show, dude, and I'm so tired of that theme song because I don't even like watching TV.
Right.
But anyway, the text that I sent you. Now, the lady that posted this earlier today, I trust her.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother looking this up myself. So take this with a grain of salt. Breaking: the Church of England are debating whether God should become gender neutral. The proposed debate revolves mainly around removing references to God as he, him, and our Father, and opting instead to use more inclusive non-gendered terms to refer to God in prayer and scripture. Now, P. Thaggy was saying that that's their way of trying to become more modern in today's world, right?
Yeah.
I call
to remain relevant, in a world where they're like the faithful are vanishing.
Me personally, and I don't want to sidetrack too much from the story that you read, G. Ross, but this really pissed me off when I saw this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of telling them, hey, your ass backwards, get your shit right, they kowtow to him.
Right.
And I'll just leave it at that. I don't understand how we've come so far to where they just bend over backwards to satisfy them, because every time you give them an inch, they want a yard, right?
Can I just say something crass?
Please do.
Maybe they like that payola, that little 10% tithing that they get. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they just are.
I think it's kind of funny that little clip that you showed earlier. Was that a man chick that the guy was cussing out?
Oh yeah, I'm actually not sure that's real. We use that as the pointing flag on Sloan and G. Ross. So I think it's hilarious because the idea is it's a cross-dresser or maybe a transvestite or something. But when pushed, all of a sudden the man comes out, right? Goes from prissy lady to, nah, back off, mofo, you know?
That reminded me of the one that was in the game store.
Right.
It's ma'am.
Right.
It's ma'am.
Exactly.
And then they had a debate with her and Ben Shapiro. And the man chick was like, I don't remember word for word, but something about you're gonna be in an ambulance.
Right.
Oh my God, that was a husky. Wow.
Yeah.
I would think in person that lady, man chick, whatever you want to call it, is probably bigger than I am. And I'm not
that
a
was
small
a huge.
guy.
I think that video is actually. I mean, I hate to say it. I think it's staged and it's a joke, but it comes off real good.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I swear I don't get it. I remember when I was a teenager, it was a rarity to even hear of something, trans or whatever. You know what I mean? And now I don't know what's in the water, man, but y'all need to start drinking that distilled shit. Quit.
Yeah. Well, and that's somewhat topical because we're right in the middle of Sodom and Gomorrah, and we're within weeks of watching it get felled. And it'll be interesting when we start getting to that text, and maybe during the panel, you guys might bring in some extra resources. I'll probably stick mostly to the text just for prep, but it was somewhat trying to. I think you could argue that Sodom and Gomorrah were trying to have relaxed sexual moral codes. Right?
There was a lot of debauchery. I wouldn't call it relaxed moral codes.
Just trying to be
debauchery.
Yeah. So
and now that you mention that, like how close this whole gender thing is. All right, so thespians, and like when it comes to acting, you had a lot of men play the woman role. Women weren't really into acting, I don't think, or they weren't allowed or something.
We're told that.
How far back does that go? Do you know?
Well,
Because
I
if you
mean,
ask me, that's some transvestite shit.
exactly. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Because I've been wondering about that for some years now.
I never bothered to look to see how far back that goes.
Right. Whether it's even
But,
true. It's what they teach us, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they did it like that in the Middle East way back.
Right.
Wasn't that more Europe?
That's more, we usually get that like when we're learning Shakespeare and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Sloan says, Amen, Yoda. He said that back when you were talking about the Church of England.
Dude, when I saw that earlier today, I swear to God, I wasn't even thinking about being pissed off. And then I already got high blood pressure and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they want to get you.
And for the record, I'm drinking coffee. I'm just irritated. So
Right.
I'll try to refrain from, cussing and whatnot.
What can I ask real quick? What kind of coffee you drinking?
It comes in a red and white package.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dark roast.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of it. Bernie does all the shopping.
Okay, cool. Just curious if it's pretty good. Do you like it? It's a good taste?
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't have any coconut milk. Sometimes I use just flat out heavy cream as a creamer, but I don't have any of it or coconut milk.
A lot of calories in that heavy cream.
That's all right. That's the good kind.
I love heavy cream.
Dude, don't get me started with macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. But no, it's basically just black coffee with a guava syrup in it.
Nice. All right, so I think there is a way to tie in that news like we just did, but I would love to jump into the story because this story was crazy. Nobody even remembers it. Are we ready to jump in?
I vaguely remember it because when you were reading those names, you might as well have been talking Chinese arithmetic because
yeah. I can't pronounce that name. Kederlomer.
We'll just call him Cashmere for short.
Thaggy, did you catch a good pronunciation? Did you dig one up?
I stumbled. I tripped over it many times. I found that it's separated into two words in some extra biblical text as Kedar, Kedar, and then Laomer. But
cool.
That's pretty much as close as I can get. Kedar, Laomer.
I love it.
It's not a very impressive or imposing name for someone that's so powerful.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he had a nickname.
I was calling him Cheddar in my notes.
Cheddar.
Yeah, but it's pronounced with a K, but I wish it was a CH because I thought he was the big cheese.
Wait, mine is CH.
Yeah, but I don't think it's pronounced CH.
And there was another thing you were talking about. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say in the Septuagint, it's a CH.
Right.
So you could call him Cheddar.
Yeah, I think we should. The big cheddar.
So when you were reading earlier, in my Bible, I have a couple of words that are different.
Cool.
Like mine doesn't say tar pits. Mine says slime pits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only reason why I'm pointing that out is because the viscosity is a lot different between tar and slime, right?
Agreed. Slime would make more sense with. Yeah, sorry, Thaggy.
Yeah, the Hebrew word is the key, so that's why.
Yeah, let me dig that up.
He was digging on it.
What was the Hebrew word again?
Let me re-grab that. Genesis 14.
I don't remember. Are the tar pits flammable?
I don't know. Duppy, is bitumen flammable? It's so crude and only refined oils burn like that. I don't think it is flammable, but Duppy can chime in.
What about, don't they have gases and shit? Or stuff?
They probably would have, had a little bit of bubbling, but not like some kind of, not like a stack flow of gas pouring out of the earth. No, I wouldn't think that. But yeah, bubbles. here and there.
Somehow Tar came up in the conversation last week, I think. I don't remember why, though.
Oh, because I was challenging the Bible literalists and asking about where do dinosaurs fit into this 6,000-year history.
Yeah.
And G. Ross is a literalist. He said, well, I think the earth was created and God put those bones in those pits just to test our faith.
I don't think
something.
I said that.
No. Or maybe he disputed that. Maybe he said dinosaur bones are fake and gay.
Right. I do think we did start talking about the one fake bone that's in the Smithsonian that they won't let you see or whatever, but I don't remember how deep we got.
Oh man, I don't know what made me think of this, but I know this picture is in my phone somewhere, but I take so many snapshots of like articles and other things. I literally have thousands of pictures in my phone, right? But there's a picture of the top says, "Why are dragons extinct?" Right? And not to get too graphic, but the two dragons are going at it. But when the male dragon, hits the apex of why they're doing the do, he accidentally shoots a fireball in the back of the lady dragon's head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny. So about those tar pits.
No, I was just saying that would do it. You know what I mean?
It would. So about those tar pits, I'm curious what you guys think. I almost feel like, again, there's a bit of a propaganda feel here. I came in, I moved to Hebron, or what's the city up? The Haran. I moved to the Haran. I kind of took over the place. I moved down to Egypt. I half almost took over some of that, got kicked out, got paid to leave. I'm kind of going to run this whole Negev section. And just so you know, yeah, there's like 4 or 5 kings around me. They've got their own thing going on. But the outsiders came in and routed them. And they're fools. So it's almost like laying the groundwork for why, I should run this place. I'm jumping a little bit ahead. But like they're slipping in the tar and they're going, we barely know what we're doing. We have strategy that fails immediately.
And he had hundreds of people with him.
Right.
He didn't take all the people with him to go get his brother.
Right. Which we can talk about tonight, but we'll definitely deep dive that.
Yeah. I would imagine he took like half his people.
He took 318, I think.
Took the ones that had the skills,
He took the top dogs. He took the Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
But Thaggy, what were you about to say?
Oh, I think it's really impressive that he only needs slightly more than 300 men to completely rout this army. Now, of course, he does it in the middle of the night. Swoops in the middle of the night, takes them by surprise. They panic, they scatter,
right?
And they're just mowing them down in pursuit, right? So,
right.
But still, for such a vast army of 4 kingdoms, and they're the dominant ones that kind of everyone has to pay taxes to, they have the logistical power to travel something like 1,000 miles away to impose. Right? And then it only takes 300 men to rout them. It's a little surprising.
Well, I was wondering about that. Go ahead, Yoda.
So in the Middle East, they don't believe in usury. So were they paying taxes?
Yes, they were. The text says they were paying tribute. It's not necessarily usury.
Taxation. Yeah.
Okay.
It's more of like empire is what I was trying to think of it as. But here's a possible thought, and I don't mind if we stay on this topic, but we can deep dive this next week because we don't even know yet. I cliffhangered us. We don't know that Lot gets kidnapped. But
what? Oh, okay.
I stopped shy. I stopped just one sentence shy because I think we should do this battle in 2 parts, right? So we can just however we want.
I want to talk about the battle.
But
Oh, go ahead.
Just since you brought up the 300 men that conquer Kedorlaomer, or at least drive him out and take a lot of his spoils, could he have been coordinating the survivors and the remnants of the other four kings, though? So I don't think he was necessarily by himself with 300.
I mean, that's what it literally says.
When we get to, I'll pay attention to that when I read through next week.
What did you stopped at what verse?
11.
11.
Oh, okay. So it's coming up in verse 14.
We can take a quick peek.
And it's and if you go to the other sources, it's not just his men. It says together with his allies, Eshul and Mamre.
But those guys,
they take their best trained men of the three camps, and it equals 318.
Right. Okay. That's a little different than I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
I thought Abram showed up with his top 318 and joined up with the ones that still had some gas, of the four kings or five kings.
No, because the battle was over. The five kings scattered.
Yeah.
They were vanquished.
Yeah,
and then because this is not all happening on the same day. You have to remember,
of course. Right.
The camp where Abram finds them is very far north of the cities that he sacked and where the battle in the Valley of Siddim. So
but could there have been some mercenaries still floating around, seeing a good thing coming their way? Oh, I like this guy. I'll saddle up with this guy and help.
Perhaps. But that leads me to what my main point was gonna be, was there really much of a battle? Because it doesn't really talk about the battle. It says that, what does it say? It says they prepared for battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, what do these other texts say? If I jump over to like the Genesis Apocryphon, this is the Dead Sea Scroll, so there's a lot of missing text. Well, would you believe it? The very moment when they're going to describe the battle, there's missing text.
Right, that's funny. But
it
there are,
says, it says this king and this king blank a battle in the valley blank against Kedorlaomer. And so it's like, and then in the next sentence is the king of Sodom was vanquished and fled, and the other one tripped over his feet and fell into the pits. And they were scrambling and they were so incompetent, with or without those mercenaries or loyalists coming back out of hiding. There really could not. The odds were completely stacked against them. There's no way you can rout an army of thousands of men with just 300. Unless you have some kind of like superpower.
Well, sure. I think that's possible.
Wait a minute. So one of the kings that they got into it with was the king of Sodom?
Yeah.
He's on the loser. He's on the side that would have lost if Abram didn't join in.
So do you know how boss dog you have to be to have that fight and still move to Sodom?
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, Lot eventually moves there.
Well, he's living there now because he gets kidnapped from there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We'll see next week.
I would have feelings about that if I was that king.
Well, and we'll talk about this next week. Like, they're like, whoops, do you know who we just stole? They kidnapped Lot. And then we see in the text halfway home, they're like, oops. We didn't mean to kidnap Lot.
I'm assuming they did it on purpose. They had to know who he was.
I also have that theory. Like, probably some of them were like, this would be great. And then some of them are like, no, you should not have had done that. Don't you know? This is gangster Abraham that you just annoyed. But I have to point out that Pythaggy has discovered that FOIA and redacting has been around for thousands of years.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess I was kind of saying that.
Yeah.
What are the chances? But I just didn't feel like in the text, you know how Genesis skips over so much, and I'm
Yeah.
really focused, almost like the dog you didn't hear. I'm always
Yeah.
wondering, well, what are you not telling me? There's
Right.
so much missing, right?
Right.
And this is another one of those instances. They prepare for battle, they square up, and then next thing they're on they're fleeing. They're just
Right.
they're running so fast they trip over their own feet. Like they just
Right.
can't get out of there fast enough, right?
Right.
And then you never hear from them again.
So you know how Ben Kenobi kind of makes a sound and all the Sand People armies run? It's almost got to feel like that. Like there's just some cool trickery or psyops that Abram knows how to do.
Yeah, something.
Duppy brings up an interesting point. Maybe each man had a small troop unit.
Retinue.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Also,
Wait,
he
say that
points.
again. I was trying to get some coffee together. What'd you say?
If Abram grabs 318 men, could that be 318 officers, and they grab their men?
I don't know.
It doesn't
Depends on
really
how
feel.
literal
Yeah.
you want to take it. Depends
It
on
doesn't
how
really
literal you
feel
wanna
like it per se, but it could. Yeah.
take it.
You got to keep in mind. All right,
318 men.
Yeah.
they were already traveling, right?
Yep.
You got to have livestock and fruits and vegetables
Mm-hmm.
to feed these people. That is a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they talk about that.
Luggage.
Yeah. They talk about that in the coming few verses where, like in about 10 or 15 verses, when they're taking the spoils, some of them are just taking what they ate, and some of them, the king of king of Salem wants to kind of get in on the action, and Abram's like, yeah, you take it all. I don't care, or something like that. I forget. We'll look at it next week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. You're right. He didn't want to be. Yeah, next week.
He just is the king of Salem soon. Yeah, that I don't know if that's next week or the week after. Duppy mentions some of the components that can be in these swamps. He includes lignite. Wasn't that the guy that joined Twitter after Elon? Oh no, that was Ligma. Sorry, I had to try to make a pun out of lignite.
Mm.
Womp womp.
Lignite. Never heard that word.
It's some kind of like stuff.
Oh, one other reminder for this section. So Abram is somewhere between 95 and 99 years old at this time.
Mm-hmm.
When he swoops in, kicks ass. 99 years old.
Right.
Okay. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how old is he when he what's his full lifespan in those days? Is it still a few hundred?
I don't remember.
Let me check my notes. I might have written it down.
Here's a picture of lignite for the streaming. I can share it. An immature form of coal.
175.
Okay, so he's like 60 in terms of, or 55 maybe. He's retirement
you want
age.
to do a ratio? Okay.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he lives
that's
to be
about right.
175. His son Ishmael lives to be 137.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, G-Rod, you said you're a Sunday school teacher, right?
Yeah, sometimes I teach Sunday school. I'm an elder at a little church, so.
Oh, no, bro.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that song they teach Protestants that I grew up singing.
Father Abraham
had many sons, right? And we're walking in place and we're doing turning around. Well, it's kind of weird to say that he had many sons. He only had 2 sons.
Right. Spiritual sons is what they mean.
Yeah, but
I know what they meant.
Yeah.
But again, it's funny because he's not the one who created the tribes and had all the kids. He's like, he had 2 kids, 2 sons.
Right.
I haven't heard of that song in decades.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, that is funny. I forgot all about that song.
It is funny. It's a funny song.
You know what? Honestly, my favorite song when it came to the church was "This Little Light of Mine." It's simple. It's to the point. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna let it shine. I don't like that Father Abraham song. I just don't dig it. I don't know why.
There was a movie that Angela Bassett did about Tina Turner, and they depict her as a little girl at a church, and they're doing church songs, but she's putting blues into it, and the little girl is only like 8. You know what I mean? Like a young Tina Turner, right? And she got in trouble with the church coordinator because she was being too loud, like with the singing, and that's what they were singing. This Little Light of Mine. I don't know, just a thought. Thought it was funny.
What did you guys think about, and this is total conjecture, but it occurred to me, Abram seems to be pretty good at reading political landscape, pretty good at geopolitics and kind of knowing when and where to strike, when and where to set up camp. Got into maybe a little hot water in Mitzrayim or Egypt, but came out okay. Savvy. Did he not know he was sending Lot to a place that was likely to be war-torn and get kidnapped out of and stuff? Or am I reaching?
That sounds like a reach.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He knew.
I don't know if he's reaching because he asked Lot to go that way, but if you decide not to, I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to have a reason. Unless the other place was more what's the word I'm looking for? If the other place was more appealing to him.
Yeah. Well,
right?
the east looked better to the to just
the
look.
valley.
Yeah, it looked more fertile.
Well, it had a river, a
Yeah.
very big one, right? So,
Yep.
Yeah, and city dwelling.
Yeah.
Versus the wilderness. I mean, there could be some metaphor here: city dwelling versus wilderness.
Hmm.
Now,
the kind of things Nietzsche would write about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Now, Sodom and Gomorrah had to have a reputation even back then, right?
They did, yeah. The text says they did, yeah.
Abram damn near lost his wife to the Pharaoh.
Yep.
He probably didn't want to go to Sodom and Gomorrah, for reasons, relative to that.
That's a good point.
If she's that gorgeous,
right? Yeah, that's a good point.
So the other thing I wanted to kind of recall is from last week is I was wondering if we thought that when they divided and went separate ways, that they truly possessed these lands in the sense that they were the guardian, or what do you call it, custodian of the land, in the sense that they really owned it. Because here you have a king of Sodom, wherein resides Lot, and then you have Mamre, or however you say it, Mamre and his brothers, and not too far south in Gerar you've got King Abimelech. So it's not like every land that Abraham laid eyes on from that height on that day when God bequeathed it to him. It's not like those lands didn't have rulers already. They did. So did he truly possess it, or is this sort of like a promissory note?
Right.
That's a good question. Because it's not like those kings are going to be aware of his conversation with God.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so every time Abram's talking to them, he's like, I'm secretly going to take you over. But he doesn't say it out loud. But they kind of prove themselves, according to this text, to be total failures.
Who, the kings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, their kingdoms are much smaller, much smaller compared to the four kings. I mean, if you look at the size of Elam, we're talking about from Persia, from somewhere in South Persia all the way to the like, let's say, the mouth of the Euphrates, the Tigris and Euphrates, and then beyond, where they imposed sort of their dominion, we'll call it. They imposed their dominion over lands that were 1,000 miles away almost in Canaan. So this is a huge, huge kingdom compared to, oh, I'm just a king of this town of Sodom. I'm just a king of this little town of Zoar. I'm just a king of this little Gomorrah.
Right. I'm glad you said that, because Kedorlaomer, and I would be curious if Duppy wants to chime on the chat, is he kind of Nimrod level, or at least he's a big heavy, right?
Okay. Here, I thought this might come up, so I have a little dig on this.
All right.
So a lot of these, this part of the story, going this far back, there's a lot of like mixing up of names, and when I say, well, I'll just say, if you go to the pseudo book like Jasser, I found a new one today, from the Samaritan. The Samaritans have their own Bible,
right?
And it reads almost exactly the same, but it goes into more detail, kind of like Jasser. So it's more fun, more, but it's not canon. But it's way more detail, way more exciting, and a lot more like lore and fantasy and stuff, and callbacks to Noah and his sons.
Cool.
So you combine that with some of the others, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, and what you find is that Yoda was right. There seems to have been two Nimrods. I forget which text I was reading, but it said there was the second Nimrod and his father, the first Nimrod. And they said that the two lifespans back to back was more than 1,000 years. So that sort of explains the paradox, where some texts say that it wasn't, that basically what they're saying is that King Amraphel of Shinar is Nimrod.
Right.
Others call him Amraphel.
Something I was reading a couple of weeks ago was saying that one of the Nimrods was the son, named after the father, but ended up hooking up with the mother.
Yeah.
Right.
So, oh, I know what it is. It's the introduction. It was the introduction to this book. I'm reading this book called the Assatir, which is subtitled like The Secret Teachings of Moses. Let me find it. And it's got a long introduction that kind of ties together all these different myths from the Greeks, the Chaldeans, and the Hebrews, and they all basically tell the same story, but they just change the names.
Right.
But he says, if you go to this text and you go to this text, if you go to the cult of Sybil, look at the writings of Sybil, all of the same stories are being told with different names. And he talks about how there's Nimrod 1 and Nimrod 2, and Nimrod is 2 is associated with this king from this story, the king of Shinar.
Yeah.
And his name is Moses Gaster, PhD, London.
Okay. So,
and then,
yeah,
I forget if it was last week or the week before, I saw something else that was saying Nimrod, Gilgamesh, and Prometheus are the same person. And that Gilgamesh was the first Mason, and that's the reason why you have the G in the middle of the symbol.
Compelling.
I don't know how accurate that is. I don't even remember where I saw that. But you and I were looking up a lot of those names a couple of weeks ago.
Yep. So going to the Nimrod as a type, and not necessarily one person, like Duppy's pointing out, tyrant emperor, we kind of do the same thing with Pharaoh, and even the biblical text just says Pharaoh did this, then Pharaoh did that, and 500 years went by. So that's clearly a line of pharaohs, right? Great-grandson. So I kind of don't see a problem with doing that with Nimrod. I guess my question becomes, how big and heavy was Kedorlaomer? Is he up that level? Do we know?
Well, so from my research, I have this 2-volume encyclopedia of the Bible. I looked up Elam. Elam under Chedorlaomer was in this time sort of the chief of his, we'll call them allied nations. He was at the head of his allies,
Okay.
which is hard to imagine because Shinar or Babylon was always in the ascendancy. And
Yeah.
if it really was Nimrod and he was some kind of like giant, you wouldn't stand a chance. But what happens is this this hegemony that doesn't last very long. What will happen in the very near future is that Shinar will swoop down and conquer Elam.
Okay.
And so these Babylonians and these, early times, before Assyria, they're constantly trying to overtake one another. So it's even amazing that they're allies at this point, in this point of the story, at this time where the story takes place.
Mhm.
I know. Yeah.
Were they maybe just so annoyed with the 5 kings that they temporarily banded together?
Well, yeah, when you cut off the money supply, when you say I'm
Right.
not paying you,
Right. That's a good point.
there's going to be consequences.
I kind of glossed over. You said something that made me remember this. The Rephaim are mentioned here.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue that they may be still pretty tall at this point.
Oh, you mean the Amalekites? Whatever they're called?
They're in this. They could be wandering around. Like I'm thinking, how there's like those giant elephants in like, I guess, Lord of the Rings or maybe the 300. You see them in movies sometimes.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Could there be some giant people?
They conquered all the territory of the Amalekites.
Yeah.
Along with the Amorites who lived in this place. So yeah, you're remembering our earlier conversation because I think it was in the book of Joshua, they say that the Amalekites are giants.
Right.
But also I found another term that really helps make all these different names, it makes the story more clear. I found out that an Amorite is the same as a Canaanite. It's a synonym for Canaanite.
Okay.
Because
that works.
If you go back to Canaan, who was third or fourth from Shem, they name Amor as one of the offspring of Canaan. So they use the term interchangeably, and that's why it'll be like the Amorites of this place and the Amorites of that place, because they were the people surrounding the entire region from Phoenicia to Egypt over to the Jordan.
That works. I might forget that, but that works.
When you have all these names and places, it's like some people just get lost.
Oh, it's easy.
And I'm one of them. I get lost all the time. I swear, about a month ago, I was reading something that was talking about a certain group of people being like descendants of giants, and they were tall. For the life of me, I can't remember who that group was, but it was in that area.
And let me just double check. Do we not have directly? Yeah, the Rephites. In verse 4, he defeated the Rephites. So Chedorlaomer went out and defeated the Rephites. I'm thinking those may have also been big people. Not just the Amorites, or maybe both.
Yeah. So wait, say those the tribes again, or the peoples.
Well, if they only had 318 with them, it would help if they had a few giants.
But I'm saying, are these people the Routees or the Routers or the Routees?
Chedorlaomer goes out and defeats the Rephites in verse 5.
Right.
And I don't know if that's like, it's been a while since I dug through and made the notes there. I'm just going back and looking. In the 13th year, they rebelled. And then it takes a year for Chedorlaomer to go attack. And they list the Rephites first. But I don't know if the Rephaites are part of that coalition of 5. I probably should have checked that. They may have just been in the way.
They were, yeah. I think that's what that YouTube video was about. They
Yeah.
come marching down, and they basically just sack all of these defenseless towns as a way of punishing their kings, saying,
Right.
"How powerful is your king if he can't even protect you?"
Right.
And of
Yep.
course, as Yoda pointed out, they would have needed supplies and food to
Right.
keep the whole caravan going.
Duppy puts an argument that the Amorites are a subset of the Canaanites through geography.
Not according.
Yeah.
I've got a map here that shows Amorites. The Amorite kingdom of Og is to the east of Sea of Galilee. Amorites go all the way down to the border of Egypt.
Wait,
and then
was it
they're also in the kingdom of Jordan. It's called Amorite kingdom of Shihon.
Wasn't Og a giant?
And according to no, they were not all giants. According to my
No, I
encyclopedia
said
here,
no.
Og.
they basically were the dominant tribe of Canaan. Yeah, the dominant tribe of Canaan.
Yeah.
Because there was others like Moab, the Moabite.
Yoda, I think, said Og might have been a giant. OG.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I thought, now, in modern times, Jordan is always called the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan. I don't know if that's just
because of the royal family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one's not biblical.
Fair. Okay. Awesome. You guys have covered all my questions.
Yeah. You want to turn in?
Maybe I was targeting 1 a.m. I have to get up at 6:45 Central Time because the man wants me to drive into the office.
Are you going to have any loosh that early in the morning?
Oh, no.
No, you're
I can't
going to
work
come
up.
in on empty.
Yeah.
It's like what do you call that? Pyrrhic victory for now.
Yeah, they're going to have to get some beatings going to get some douche out. They'll find a way. Yeah, Pyrrhic victory.
All right.
Plus, I took a nap. Took a 90-minute nap before the show.
Nice.
I am curious about Og.
Yep.
Because like I said, I don't take notes. And a couple of months ago, I came across something talking about him. And that one channel I hipped you to a long time ago, G. Ross, they mentioned something about him. So let me open this damn thing up. It's not opening for some reason. My roommate, she's going to sleep, so the TV's off, you know.
Here we go. I've got a section on Og. Og is a powerful Amorite king whom the Israelites defeated before crossing into the Promised Land. Og was one of the giant Rephaim. In fact, his immense iron briar, whatever that is, a sarcophagus of black basalt, measured 4 by 1.8 meters, or 13 by 5 and 5'8". So 13 foot tall. That's pretty giant.
That is.
Yeah, it's taller than me. He's got me. He's got me by like twice my height.
Yep.
Could you imagine standing next to somebody like that?
Yeah, you're right. That's the height of 2 tall modern day men.
Yep.
So
it'd be freaky and intimidating.
Yes.
So it's really possible that the other ones, the Rephaim, it's possible that some of them were giants then, right?
That's what I'm entertaining loosely.
I'm entertaining it strongly.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what the Bible says, anyways, right? Later, it says the Amalekites were I think it said not Nephilim, but it definitely said that they were giants.
Tall, yeah, super big. Like they made us look like crickets or ants or something.
Right.
I'm gonna find the verse.
Because you see a lot of Middle Eastern depictions where they have giants holding lions and they look like kittens
Right.
in their hands, you know?
Duppy points out that Og had a big ass iron waterbed and he rocked the Barry White and lava lamps.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Og is OG, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't think of that.
Well, and if I think some of us have been vaguely entertaining that sometimes slang is not naturally evolved. OG might have been put into our street language just to resurrect this concept of an Og.
Not an original gangster, but the giant chieftain Og.
Yeah.
The Amorite king. Maybe.
Well, these Luciferians do like their play on words and their number play.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started about that award ceremony that they had.
So, kind of potentially way off topic, but you ever wonder, like, when they do their ritual magic and they have to do it on 9/11/2001, for example.
Right.
Weather could have messed with them. They got perfect photograph weather that day. It's almost like sometimes that dark magic gets a chance to get let loose. You know what I mean?
Well, at the same time that the ceremony started, the earthquake started over there around Turkey.
Yeah,
And
very good point.
I've seen a lot of footage that does not make sense with what you saw in the skies.
Right.
So, you got people talking about HARP.
Yeah.
And I saw a video of a guy, P. Thaggy. You're the geologist, right?
No, Duppy.
Not really.
Duppy is?
Duppy.
He was talking about using 30 watts of radio waves to detect oil in the ground. And they'd go out in different locations and, search. And he compared that 30 watts that's being used to detect the oil deep in, hard surface, right? In comparison to HARP using 1,000,000 watts on what they're doing. And he was talking about how disruptive that could be, in the underlining layers of the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the videos I've saw, it doesn't make sense on what you see. You see lights, bluish lights flashing in the distance, and the guy holding the camera kept panning around, left to right.
Right.
But that cloud, looked like it was hiding something. It had like a circular ring with like a darker circle in the middle. I've never seen anything like that, I should have sent you that link. I'm surprised I didn't, G. Ross.
Oh.
A lot of times when I see religious stuff, well, I wouldn't consider that religious, but just because of the history of that part of the world,
mm-hmm.
I'm surprised I didn't send you that. Because I tag you in a lot of stuff that I see on that my truther buddies share on Facebook.
Duppy says that's for shallow prospecting. I've never seen us be this quiet.
Okay.
I was looking at the laptop
right.
myself.
It's totally fine. Anything else from today's text?
This one is hard for me because, like what we said earlier, like I see those names and it's gibberish to me. I'm totally impressed with the fact that P. Thaggy knows it the way he does and can bring up like not only the group but the area that they're from, that's really impressive.
Yeah, I guess it just comes a little easier, but I had to write it down. I make little post-it notes so that I can start separating things out in my mind. And then I use these encyclopedias and I find helpful maps and stuff. Because,
Nice.
men, I heard, this could be false, but I heard men are quite visual with their thinking and learning. So
Yeah,
I always,
yeah.
I always like seeing a map. If I see a map, it's going to stick better.
Yeah, it locks in. Yep.
I'm looking to see if I shared that.
Yeah, Namster is wanting to see the cloud, so if you find it. And Whiskey Blue says, was the earthquake in Syria that Putin was warning the U.S. was going to have a false flag in Syria?
Oh wait,
Interesting
who was that? No, that was Oh my God, who was that? Because I just saw that earlier today. Sometimes I get burnt out, and I just got to unplug from the internet. So yesterday and today, well, yesterday, I didn't know anything about the earthquake because I was just completely unplugged, And no, somebody was pointing that out. Was it Putin?
Yeah. Well, according to Whiskey Blue, it was Putin. Whiskey Blue, do you have a link? Do you have a source?
Now, it's got 2 question marks, so it may not be sauced. Might be speculation, but we'll see.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Nah, it
was.
was.
I heard that. I heard that too in the rumor mill. It's true that it was caused by HARP.
I like the side chat you guys have where the Amorites become the main set of Canaanites, and around 1800 BC, they're taking over Byblos, Sidon, and Tyre.
Vitamin C in oranges. It has vitamin K, E, B5, B6, B1, B2.
It's got what plants crave. Was it Brondo or Bondo? Something? I've never seen that movie. I've just seen little bits.
Well, no, you need to see the whole thing.
Yeah, I know I do.
Maybe you've seen the best parts.
It's just a history book now, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess the person who never gets any mention is Maya Rudolph. She's like the supporting lead actress, supporting. She becomes a protagonist in her own right, and but she figures out really quickly how to manipulate the people because they're so dumb.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I didn't share that link that I was talking about.
It's okay.
The first one that comes up is that GOP Oversight Committee for social media. Did y'all catch any of that stuff?
I'm going to mention it a little bit with Angular on Friday. Some of the people getting on the committees. Some of the committee, the one about Twitter execs. I forgot her name, Luna. That was fire. That was fun,
dude. They went off. I ain't trying to get off topic, but I was impressed. And they actually mentioned, nah, the hell with this. Y'all gon' who was it? Clay Higgins.
Yeah.
He was like, this is the part we're doing now. The jail time is later.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to cover that on Friday.
Yeah, I was impressed.
No, I don't think you're not taking us off topic because I think we finished the 9 kings, except for part 2, which is when Abram comes in and becomes essentially the 10th king that takes over everything.
I mean, that seems like the real battle. The 9 armies standing off.
Yeah.
It was like over in a flash. The really amazing part of the story is like this, Christmas Eve, what would you call it? This mission, this overnight mission where they swoop in and take everything back.
Yep. So I kind of wanted to, and I think we proved it out. We spent a good hour talking about it. I wanted to set kind of the background, and then we can do the fun part next week. And I'm hoping to get from verse 12 through 24 So that might be a little much because that includes dissing of King of Salem, meeting Melchizedek, which may be actually Jesus, depending on how far you want to go with that. Stuff like that.
Well, when we get to that part, in my Bible, there's only one verse, and it's just talking about the God encouraging Abram. And then it breaks up into two different sections after that. But yeah, that'll be fun to talk about.
Do you have up to verse 24 of chapter 14? Or
Yeah,
does
I'm
it
looking
stop?
at it.
Yeah, okay.
No, it goes to 24, but right after 24, you have 15. But that's
Yeah,
only one verse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't going to hit chapter 15 next week.
It's only one verse.
Hold on, that can't be right.
Well, I mean, it's more than one verse, but as far as like how the sections break up,
Mm-hmm.
in my Bible, there's headers for the
Yeah.
different sections, right? That
Yeah.
one only has one verse under that header.
Right. I'll figure that out after. I only have prep next week. As far as, but I was thinking about doing verse 12 all the way through 24. Hopefully.
Okay. But there's definitely something about Abram, and it's almost like he's developing a pattern of. Well, no, I guess that's not saying it right. Because that's. I don't want to get too far ahead. Never mind.
Fair.
All right. I spent part of the day, you know how you mentally block on your homework? You're supposed to be studying and I was looking for stickers today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Abraham and his allies be walking in like yo, like this.
That's good. Nice sticker. That's awesome. That's maybe Ty. What was his dad's name? Terah. Yeah, Terah, Abram, and Lot arriving on the scene in Haran.
We them boys.
We're here. That's awesome. Good sticker. I feel like
So
Kana has to be added to the channel.
Your Friday night show. Do you have a topic for your Friday show, or is it just random?
It's about an hour long. It's me and the kiddo, and we cover current events of the week.
Okay.
It's kind of a casual look through the week.
Did y'all see any of Biden's?
Yeah, that thing was
the whole thing.
I don't even want to call it a State of the Union. Let's just call it a fiat. Dude, I've never seen people be that disrespectful during a State of the Union.
It was crazy. It was loud and boisterous.
Yeah.
They couldn't help themselves when he said some of the dumbass stuff he said.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it felt organic. But you're right. It was a limit we haven't seen before in our country that I remember.
Like when Trump did his, I mean, all Pelosi ripped up some papers. Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody was yelling, from the members. Right?
Right.
No shoes were thrown.
Right.
Surprisingly. I still don't get how people don't see it. You see some of these poll numbers, and it's like, how is 34 or 36% of the people that you poll still on his side? Those numbers can't be right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the more, like you can flip back and forth going, there's some secret white hats in control, devolution. Nah, that's far fetched. But if you don't, it's almost like a desperate play in my mind to turn to devolution or something like it. Otherwise, that doofus is sitting in what looks like the White House. Like, and it makes no sense. It's just, he's so dumb.
To try to tie it back into what we were talking about tonight.
Yeah.
I worked for a robotics company in Vegas a while back, and they hired me to replace one of the managers, but they were getting more and more into manufacturing, and they didn't have a system set up. They had no quality control. And so I realized my background is quality control for manufacturing for circuit boards, right? So I told the owner, I was like, look, you don't need me to manage these people. You know, Sean's doing an okay job. This is where I'd be better suited, you know? So I took up quality control. And one day, one of the guys that worked with me, and Sean used to get on everybody's nerves. How this Iranian got into our country through Canada is beyond me. But me and him used to bump heads a lot, right?
Yep.
And one of the guys was asking me about being a manager and being in a leadership position. And I forget how the conversation just went into what I'm about to say. But I told him, you know, part of being a good manager or supervisor is having a certain respect with the people that you work with, a certain amount of respect, right? And so I usually just chalk it up into one simple thought. And we were talking about Sean, right? And so I asked him, I was like, would you follow Sean into combat? And he was like, no, hell no. I was like, what about me? Would you follow me into combat? He was like, in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? And without even having to say too much, you know, it was really clear on the point that I was trying to make, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not willing to follow you into combat, I'm not going to have very much respect for you
Right.
as a manager or a supervisor, because I flat out don't trust you.
Right.
You know?
So you're thinking Trump and Biden, right?
What's that?
You're comparing Trump and Biden, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. And you know, those different kings that we were just reading
Yep.
about and the people, right? Abram. There's got to be a lot of respect, you know?
Good point. Now, to maybe even touch on something that we talked about last week and can be a continuing thread whenever it comes up. I want to say something about the story, chapter 14, without taking away from what I say is that the Bible is authoritative. It feels a little bit like putting Abram in a good light in that sense. Like, you know, it's telling the story like he's this amazing dude. I'm not saying it's exaggerating per se or anything like that, but it's casting him in this, well, everybody follows him. So maybe it's for a reason. And that's what Pythagoras keeps, I think, questioning.
Without getting
because there's a lot of gaps. Your brain is filling in a lot of gaps. There's
Right.
just so much that we're not being told.
I think he has alien technology.
Without getting too much into next week's conversation.
Yeah.
Next week will show Abram not so much as being the pimp that we thought he was in Egypt, but more, you know, being kind of straight up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He becomes the heroic father figure of Lot, basically.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that part. I'm talking about
when he talks to the king of Salem.
Yeah.
Well, we'll touch on this, but he's very specifically saying this was a holy war. Whenever you don't take the proceeds in the Bible, you're saying this was a holy war. And this is the first instance of seeing that. And I don't know a ton about that, but I'll flesh that out as we go.
Neat. Yeah, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, and I was just picking up on that from some other sources and starting to put that together. So I'm treating it like it's actual fact. It's a theory, so I'll be fleshing that out. it's supposed to be a clue of some sort. Like if they take you're allowed to take the proceeds, but if it's a specific holy war, like in this case, and it's kind of before the Canaanites are shown as being they need to be killed, so it seems out of place, like a lot of things in Genesis, like you've pointed out, Pythagi, like out of order.
Yeah.
But the
So
fact
next
that
week, are you?
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to repeat. Yeah.
But so next week, are you going through the end of the chapter?
I'm hoping to. It might be a mistake.
Why? Two different topics?
Yeah, it's two different topics, but I think we did enough laying the groundwork. We can probably do it.
Yeah.
We're getting close to one, so if you guys want, we can go around the horn.
Oh, I got nothing. Sticker is the best thing I had tonight.
That's a good closer. Your sticker is your closer. I love it.
Well, let's see. It's been a weird week for me. I've had some roller coasters. Dude, my roommate hit something in the road and messed up the passenger side of the front bumper and bent the shit out of the control arm. We got a rental, but the car place won't be available to fix it until the 16th.
Oh.
And so I've been just doing a whole lot of truthing, and I found a guy that's a podcaster, and he's a lot like me. Black guy, talk shit. And he actually made me laugh a few times. But he kept talking about God, I can't even think of the word now. You know how, like, when people talk about not empaths, why can I not think of the word? Star seeds.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you about that. Now, I know you and I see this world in a certain way that not everybody agrees on. How would you fit star seeds into this conversation? I know that's not quite a close, but I was curious about that.
Star seeds. Let me remind myself what a star seed is. Star people is what comes up.
It's incarnated souls that are trying to raise the vibration of the world to a more positive 4D, 5D kind of thing.
Well, we've got angels, cherubim, seraphim, so I think that matches, right? Leaves room for something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that was, you see Daniel's vision or more Isaiah's vision where you see these like weird wheels within wheels and beasts and...
Yeah. But when you look at actual stars, you can see those patterns.
Well, I mentioned some 30 weeks ago, maybe 35. I'm not 100% saying that the stars are not angels. There's a tiny, tiny, tiny hint in the text.
There was one, I forget if it was a planet or a star, but the way they depict that wheel, the pattern looked so much like it,
Right. So
no,
I'm probably not.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm probably not an expert, but I would say I'm kind of open to the idea that, like, if we break the spells that our controllers have on us, aren't we kind of awakening in some fashion?
I would think so.
So that's
there's a lot more people that are aware now than, say, like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's conversation like this guy that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm sure 10 years ago, the kind of topics he's mentioning on his channel wouldn't be something that he would be talking about on a regular basis. And if you go on my Facebook, the only reason why I keep my Facebook is because I can think of like 50 people on there that are down-to-earth truthers, right? And you can have these conversations with them, and it's not going to go over their head.
Right. I mean, what does it mean to raise a vibration, right? Like, have a better conversation. That could fit, right?
No, I believe that.
Sometimes metaphorical and literal, I love to separate them, but I don't know if they're always separatable.
Like, I've never got goosebumps over something negative, but I'll get goosebumps over something either positive or enlightening. You know,
Yeah.
To me, that is along the lines of raising the vibration. You know, having a conversation like this on Wednesdays with the three of us and whoever else chimes in.
There are some who's, yeah, sorry.
Two or more in my name, right?
Right.
And I believe that. Right now, I got goosebumps.
Nice.
You know?
So Jordan Peterson pointed out some psychologists think the goosebumps are the same thing that make like cat's hair stand up, and it makes kind of sense, right? If a cat sees something that it respects or has power, it might bristle a little bit just to look bigger and safer. I think what you're saying is, and I vibe the same way you do, I get goosebumps only on things that are positive, but I could use the word like if I'm in awe of. So when we see true power, we get those goosebumps.
Yeah.
But you won't get them if you see like a person treating another person poorly or something like that.
No.
You never get it off that. Yeah.
No, I do believe not all humans are the same.
Right.
Some of them don't have that spark. I don't understand why.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But
yeah,
they're more quick to accept, you know, the negative things in life versus, you know, I saw a story yesterday. Oh, it was about the Turkey earthquake. Yeah. And dude, it was rubble everywhere.
Right.
And somehow they pulled out this little girl. She couldn't have been no more than 5 or 6, bro. From underneath concrete and all kinds of dude, she didn't have a scratch on her. You know, I see stuff like that, I get goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
How did she come out of all of that? She was scared to death,
right?
Obviously, right? I don't know. It was just a thought because I see that stuff and you try to make sense out of everything and do the best you can and piece it all together, but you can't just dismiss it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, a Bible discussion is got to have some ability, probably should have some ability to talk about woo. Sunday nights we can go woo all day too. Just a side note.
I forgot what woo is.
Like I might be misusing the word, but like stuff beyond explanation, or you know, like that stuff that's a little less. Go ahead, Pythagi.
Yeah, supernatural or superhuman maybe. Or yeah,
miraculous. Right on.
I have a lot of books that I need to read, and I say I'm going to read them, but I'll end up ordering like 3 books and haven't even read the other ones that I got. I need to get a lot better about that.
Yeah. I've read so many books.
Yeah. But once again, fellas, it was nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, likewise.
Did you want us to stick around as you close, G. Ross?
No, you can. I can go ahead and start the close if you're ready. Have you said everything, Black Yoda?
Yeah. I'm more interested in having the conversation next week.
Yep.
Because like I said, I mean, going over those names and the places, dude, that's so much.
I know you've been waiting. You're like, it's getting juicy. I think we finally get there next week.
It is, but
yeah, I wanted to get there this week, but I just thought it would be slightly.
Well, you told us last week you were going to leave us on a cliffhanger, and here we are. You know.
So yeah, last week I wanted just that close. I wanted to make sure you heard it. This week it's totally optional. I have a very, very short close, which is we already know what we're covering next week. You guys really did bring in a lot of stuff that kind of we needed for fleshing out this 11 verses. You know, I'm kind of only going through the text. I like Pythagi what you brought as far as like we kind of needed some extra biblical sources to flesh this out. So I really appreciate that. And Yoda, your perspective always is great. And I like how I thought we tied in some current events and other concepts in with the text pretty decently tonight.
No, Pete Aggie, you were awesome, bro. Like always.
Oh, well, I'll take a quick bow.
But the only thing in closing I should add is tomorrow, I think 9 Central, rumor has it that I'll be with on The Fallen One with the Batman, and we'll be talking about nerdly collectible stuff. Turns out me and the Batman discovered we were on Classical Chick's show a few days ago and just discovered we were fellow nerds with comic book stuff. So I think we're doing a show on that tomorrow on The Fallen One.
Just looking at Batman, you could just see the nerd. You know what I mean? Like,
he's got me beat by a mile, but I'll try to keep up with those two. But funny. I happen to have worked in Mecca. I worked at DC Comics from 1994 to 01, 02. And so I've got exposure to a bunch of cool stuff that the Batman has in common with. And so we just nerded out for like an hour and a half on Classical Chick's show. Unannounced, just took over her show. Kept asking her permission every half hour. Is this okay? She's like, yeah, but eventually she had to go to sleep. So.
Batman, he's a good dude.
He is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm ready to get out of here.
Right on.
All right, fellas, next week.
See you next week.
Ross, I might stop by Friday. It depends on what's going on.
Always welcome.
I'm still pissy at my roommate. So,
Understood.
you know.
Understood.
All right.
See you, gentlemen.
Good
night. Bye-bye.
All right. Later.
What a great couple of panelists. Really just making me not have to do any work. I just like lean back. Let's start the outro music. Let's see. Main. Built in. Let's get this outroing. Did you hear what I mentioned? Tomorrow, The Fallen One. I think it's 9 Central. But just keep your eyes on the boards for that. Friday with Angular, we'll be going over the news of the week. Try to make 5:30 Central. Might be a little late because of work. You never know. And then Sunday night, about 11:15, 11:30 p.m. Central, going to do Funklosophy. Probably about an hour. And then next Wednesday, we do the appearance of Melchizedek, Abraham rescues Lot, and kind of disses King of Salem. All right. Let me release the scratch-in, which I think I forgot to do recently, so let me not forget that. Whiskey Blue says, seems suspicious where Putin was warning. I think you may be onto something. Duppy often is our voice of reason that says, I don't know if they were using the earthquake machines that particular time. I'm pretty sure they're always using the earthquake machines, but hey, that's why me and Duppy have good conversations. Thanks again to panelists Black Yoda and Pete Aggie. What a night. All right, I'm going to go hang out in Sloan Chat, but first I'll probably stop by and do a little fox hop in the Texan Phillies to 369 garden. Wow, the music's getting loud. It's kicking me out of here. Can someone scratch the scratch off? Just I want to see one scratcher. I'm going to do it to show you it can be done. It can be done, you see. All right, I'm going to go to the outro. But I'm watching the chat until someone scratches that scratching. All right, love you all. Thank you for spending time with us. We're joined on Fridays by co-host Angular. This has been G. Ross, and you are the underscore. Be sure to catch us on the foxhole.app, DLive, YouTube, or Facebook. Current shows include the Bread Pill Weekly. You've been red pilled, now be the red pill. You're out of the oven and ready for delivery on our weekly alternative news roundup and call-in show on Foxhole, D-Live, YouTube, and Facebook every Friday at 5:30 p.m. Central, co-hosted by G. Ross and Angular. Current shows include Epistemology for Fun and Profit, where woo meets goo. You're in the woo, and the woo is in you. A philosophical call-in show with occasional guest interviews, diving into the oldest questions. Most episodes are exclusively on the foxhole.app, Sunday at 11:30 p.m. Central. Current shows include 9dNation, the nation with no denomination. Declare to the custom agents any edible plants or miscellaneous worldviews. We take a look back at how we got here, eventually leading into a regular Wednesday night Bible study at 11 p.m. Central. Catch us on the foxhole.app, D-Live, YouTube, and Facebook. Our Friday co-host is Angular. This has been G. Ross, and you are the underscore.